So I wanted to make another video, and I kind of wanted to explain a little bit more about how I got into doing, astrological things and tarot and trying to become a psychic myself. So I thought it would be a good idea to share an experience, a psychic reading that was very, very accurate that I had done about 2 years ago. So it was 2015 when I had this done. So one of the things that the psychic told me that she could tell about me is that she says that I'm kind of like a quiet person with kind of like light colored hair and green eyes, and that I keep to myself, and she could kind of understand that I had the gift myself as well. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then I asked her about two guys that I was possibly interested in. One was an ex-boyfriend of mine, and we had dated just like briefly. We had just dated a couple months. And I said, well, what kind of, I asked her first off, like generally, what kind of person do you think that he is? And then I asked her, what do you see about us getting back together? And so I told her his name and everything, and then she says, I can picture him as this really funny guy, like almost sort of waving a finger at somebody. Like I would think that he's some sort of a comedian or something, like somebody that's always, clapping up a storm. And then she told me that she thinks that he will call. She just doesn't know when it's going to be, and I believe her because that's pretty much like what everybody else was saying, like all the other psychics and everything. And then the other question that I asked was, I've never done online dating or anything like that, but sometimes I'll just kind of like browse the profiles of, men and women, and nothing like romantically, just to kind of see what's up there and everything. And there was this guy's profile that I was looking at, and I kind of asked the psychic about him. And before I tell you what she said, and I didn't mention any of this to her at all, but it said something like, said something on his profile like, and they had kind of like a picture, like a headshot of him, and then they had like another picture of him like from the waist up, like wearing a white tank top. And then it said something like, on his profile, it said something about, because he had like two paragraphs or whatever. In the first sentence, it said something like, I am an auto mechanic, and I am currently in school right now working on another degree. And then it said something about how I like to go to the gym, and he, obviously you could see like the picture of him. I mean, he wasn't like too buff or anything, but he seemed like reasonable. He seemed like in a good shape to me, not too skinny, not too buff, but just he seemed like somebody that would work out every day in the gym and everything. So I asked this psychic about him, and like I said, I didn't mention to her any of that was the first line in his profile, what he talked about, college and working out at the gym. And so I was like really, really surprised. She was very accurate when she said, oh, the guy from the internet. She said, the picture that's kind of coming to mind is somebody that's like this really fit, sort of buff guy that likes hanging out in the gym. And I was just shocked that she said that that's how accurate it was, and that's why I get into psychics and stuff like that, because that's basically the first line of his profile, and I didn't even mention that to her. And then, but she says, like, as far as romantically, she says, if I want to be serious, I probably wouldn't go with this guy, because she says she doesn't really know what his intentions are. She goes, yeah, I mean, if you were flirting with him and stuff like that, I mean, yeah, of course he would take up on it. That's what she said. But she goes, I don't really think that he's really that serious. I think that he just kind of is in college and working on cars, and has his car and in the gym and everything. I think he just kind of posted an ad for friends and is just kind of seeing what is sort of going along. So that's my little video, and that's how I really got into psychics, and that was just a very, very exceptional, thing. Like I said in some of my first videos, that's the reason why I got into doing, psychics and everything like that, is because when I was in college, I didn't really know much about it, but when I was in college, I was 22, and it was like over the summer, and I got a tarot reading. I didn't really know what tarot cards were, and she was just very, very accurate, that one psychic. And then the second reading that I felt that I should share and make a video about is this one psychic reading, this one time that I had in 2015, and she was very, very accurate. I thought that it was interesting that she knew that I was kind of a psychic, and then also she told me very accurate things. She was very accurate about my ex, because whenever he comes up in the picture, his card is the Fool card, and it was really interesting. I didn't, like I said, I didn't even mention anything to her about him, and she was just saying how, like, what a funny guy he is, and that he's definitely very interesting, and I think that's kind of what held my attention, is because I really need to be entertained. And then she was very, very accurate. Like, I was surprised when she talked about this guy off the internet whose profile I was looking at, and she started immediately talking about, him working out at the gym, because I didn't even mention anything about that to her. And then that was pretty much, like, basically she said it right there. That was his first line on the profile. And so anyway, if you're a skeptic, or if you are new and you don't really, have an opinion about it, or you've never had a psychic experience, I just felt that I should make this video, because this is part of the reason that I'm into tarot and astrology and the spiritual world and connecting with spirits and psychics and spirit guides, and I'm trying to work on my gift as well and help other people figure out their lives and give readings, because this is another example. This is the second psychic that I had that was very accurate.